Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan. Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Hey, while you wait for the next video to start, let me show you a quick behind the scenes of our studio. Right here, this is our editing bay. This is where me and my full-time team member, Zach Sparazzo, come up with the concepts for the videos, edit the intros, the outros, all that good stuff. Back here, this is where we do all the shooting. We have sliders, we have lighting, cameras, equipment, 4K projector, and guess what? All this stuff costs money. As we work towards improving the quality of our live stream, moving from regular 1080p to 4K streaming, and our videos, making them more interesting, expanding the team with hopefully more team members, improving the equipment, we want to help you guys partner with us in a creative way. So super chats of any kind on these live streams will be prioritized to get your question or comment highlighted and a shout out from me to you. And it's a great way for you to support what we're doing here and our hope to expand and grow the channel to reach more people. So all you got to do is click the little $sign, which will probably be synced up to your Apple ID account if you're an Apple user. Put in an amount of any kind, confirm it with your comment and question, and voila. Easy way for you to support our channel, support what we're doing here, and while at the same time guaranteeing that your question will get answered.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Let's jump right into it. I'm excited about this one. All right, look, some of you guys just got a flawed understanding of the gospel. My brother, James 2:26. Someone asked me if I was better than the swine I was speaking in the last video. Yes, I'm better than the harlot who pumps on bad politics. He misspelled politics to the youth. Are you? And then he follows it up with, God forgives everybody if they take the steps necessary for forgiveness. Me, I'm picking and choosing, I'm human. If my opinions hurt, it's because you see yourself in who I'm going at, period. No, brother, your opinions are wrong. They're just flat out wrong. Here's why. You have a fundamental misunderstanding of the gospel. And this is it. You clearly didn't hear what I'm saying. What you're projecting on her is probably some of your own insecurity. And this is what I mean. If we're speaking about the gospel, you, me, a OnlyFans model, anyone else is no better than anybody else. There is no moral high ground that anyone holds over someone else. That is the literal point of what Jesus is driving home at the Sermon on the Mount, where he keeps taking the laws that they were following, and he was saying, yes, you think it's about not committing adultery. I'm telling you, if you've looked at a woman lustfully, you've committed adultery in your heart. You think don't murder? Yeah, don't murder. But I'm telling you, if you hate your brother, you've committed murder. So based on those two standards, my guy, you, me, all of us have already broken multiple laws of God, and God is so holy and so good that you don't get to stand there and say, I'm better than the OnlyFans model because I took the steps for forgiveness. That is so utterly goofy, because it ignores the very framework and the foundation of the gospel, which is you are saved. I don't even know if you're saved based on what you're saying here, but you're saved by grace through faith in Jesus. For all have sinned, none seek righteous, not one. So there is nothing in you that makes you righteous, that it is Christ's righteousness imputed to those of us that put our faith, which is belief in Christ. So to assume that you are superior, morally superior, is just a fundamental breakdown of what Jesus was showing. He literally points to the story of the Pharisee and the sinner that are going before God. And you sound like the Pharisee praying with your head held high, thanking God that you're not like the OnlyFans model. Like, this is a direct parallel to that. And the person who's a sinner, who's conscious that they're a sinner, is knowing that they're jacked up, is willing to sit and hear me out for 2 hours, is like, look, I've never heard of this Jesus before. She literally said she's never heard the gospel before. So you think I'm supposed to pull up in there and be like, You adulterous woman, let's stone her, Christians. She's a harlot. Ah, like, that's really what you think the heart of Jesus is. Like, you read the New Testament, you read the stories of grace and mercy, you read how high the standards of God is, and you walk away with that puffed up thinking that you're better than anyone in the world, fam. Like, that is so toxic and combative and the very antithesis to the Jesus you claim to believe in, which makes me question, what is it that you actually believe in? If you are, like, fam, if you've lusted at a woman this week, how about within the last 2 hours, you are no better than anyone else. You are not better than an OnlyFans model. You are an adulterer. You are an adulterer. Okay, whether you committed the act literally or right. So does sin have different consequences? Yes. Are her consequences and how it's going to impact her kids going to be different? Yes, we told her that. Are your consequences going to be different? Yes, probably, right? You're not creating something that's enabling a system of dysfunction. However, in the eyes of a holy God, fam, you are no better. I am no better. And if you were to understand this point, you were to understand how holy God is, and you were to understand how jacked up you are, even in your sophistication, even in your ego and your pride, even in you ignoring the blind spots in your life and the actual things that you are dealing with behind closed doors, you are no better. So you need to repent. That's what you're displaying in the way you're speaking about another image bearer, calling her a harlot and all these different things. Fam, that's pride, bro. You need to repent of that. Like that is what got Satan kicked out of heaven. Right? Like, you have to repent of that ego to assume that you hold a moral high ground over anyone, because you don't. Neither do I. Again, different sin, different consequences, right? Whatever you're dealing with, maybe the consequences of it aren't as severe on this side of eternity. But any person who hasn't placed their faith in Jesus, that has broken God's expectation, is in for a rude awakening in the afterlife. So I think you got to really slow your roll with the way you're speaking about other people. Like, these are daughters. This is a daughter of God. Like, she's still created in the image of God. And you don't know, like, what everything she's been through. She told you she was in the military. Maybe she's seen combat. Like, there's so many layers to a person, and that I think the least we could do is extend grace, mercy, because grace and mercy was extended to me when I didn't deserve it, fam. A lot of grace and mercy. And you know what? And guess what? And grace and mercy still has to be extended to me, because I still fall short of the call of God and the standard of God for my life. Till this day, there's still people that need to extend grace and mercy to me, and there's still a holy God that has to extend grace and mercy to me. And if you're living through life thinking that you don't need grace and mercy, fam, you're bugging. And so I'm not saying this to be mean to you. I'm saying this because if this is how you're going to carry yourself on a social media platform, I can't imagine the other areas that you're blind to and what the ramifications of that's going to be to you at some point in your relationship. If this is the filter that you're speaking through, and this is the filter that you're living your life through, you need to replace that for a Jesus-centered, humble, meek attitude, because it's just not reflective of a good God, and it is going to catch up with you, because at some point you're gonna wish somebody extended grace and mercy to you, and they may not, because of the attitude that you're holding here. So anyway, what an opening to a Ask Me Anything stream. So we're talking about the stream about the OnlyFans model. And that whole bit, and I think you really need to go and do the homework, my guy. Like, you really need to go and read the book of 1 Corinthians. Have you ever read the book of 1 Corinthians? Have you ever read 1 Corinthians chapter 5? I'm always astonished by how few people are actually biblically literate, but have such a strong opinion about everything. Like, folks ain't never read the New Testament, but they want to tell you about how you're supposed to treat people. Like, fam, how about you just get through the New Testament? How about you start there? How about you read the whole New Testament? Right? And then how about you read the whole Bible? And I'm not saying that as like a flex. I'm saying, like, you should know what the scriptures actually teach and prescribe how we're to treat non-believers, and what Jesus demonstrates right? Like 1 Corinthians, absolutely sets us in our place. Absolutely. Because it's a clear indication of these are folks in church who are bugging. Paul's rebuking them. He's making it clear that you don't need to do all this hooping and hollering and acting very, smart and whatever, like you're superior. Like he makes this point really clear in the book of 1 Corinthians. And you're just throwing out random verses like, okay, Proverbs 21, better to live on a corner of the roof than to share a house with a quarrelsome. You have no idea whether she's a quarrelsome wife. You don't know anything about her. All you saw was one interview. You have no idea her dynamic with her husband. Neither do I. Like, what does that have to do with anything? You're just grasping for straws now. Sit down and just say, yeah, you know what? You're right. Maybe I should rethink the way I'm speaking about people I don't know, because maybe I need a little bit more grace than I'm aware of in this season of life. And maybe I have some blind spots around my ego, because whenever you're pointing out and critical of other people, especially people that are like, yeah, I never heard of this stuff. It's interesting. You probably need to take a strong look inward to some of the issues you're dealing with. Yeah, I'm not gonna say because I don't know you like that, but fam, you got to slow your roll. You got to slow your roll. Anyway, guys, if you guys got questions, smash that like button. We're gonna prioritize. We're gonna prioritize super chats. If you got a super chat, and then we will jump into somebody said. Let me see. Someone asked a question earlier that was pretty good. Shout out to my man Apologia Center in the chat. Had him on the channel, front of the channel. I can't wait to do some more stuff with him. My man Kirk Kennedy is going to be in town. Kirk Kennedy had a fire video about Ben Shapiro, about Fox News, about not being politicized with your faith. I shared that on the community tab, so shout out to him. This stream is going to get redirected to the other channel. If you guys don't know, I started a second channel, and I got some heat. Over there, man. We got some heat over there, specifically for creators, for folks that want to get into YouTube. That's over there. Shout out to my man Conrad for pulling up. Okay, so Leon Isaacs, this is a great question. He said, first question is, what did your community think of this appearance? Were you hesitant? Did you request a ton of prayer? Community was more or less positive. Like it was really good feedback. I had multiple pastors hit me up right after. It was more or less really positive. So I didn't have any negative feedback in terms of my community. It was more so folks in the chat that come from another community that I'm gonna have to press on, specifically the Red Pill community that was doing a little bit of trolling, and so we're trying to set up another live stream with myself, Adam, and this gentleman named Rolo to have a debate on what's optimal for male flourishing, which I believe is Jesus and living the way Jesus prescribes. So there was some of that, but my community was 100%, as far as I know, was 100% with me. And by the way, there's probably, like, I didn't nail everything. There's probably some stuff that, I would change about some of the stuff I said. I don't know. But yeah, generally speaking, it was all positive. And then by the way, what we didn't know this, and Rebecca's here, we didn't know the angle until like a day before. So shout out to Rebecca Barry. So we didn't know what was like. I thought I was coming in to do a pod with Sauce, which is my guy. And then he's like, yo, we got OnlyFans model coming. I was like, whoa, okay. And then he's like, yo, and a stay-at-home mom. And I was like, okay, this is going to be an interesting dynamic. So then when he told me it was Rebecca, I was relieved because I know Rebecca, I know her husband, and I think her as well. So that like actually ended up really working out in terms of the way it all flowed out, in terms of like me and her have some synergy. Yeah, we thought it was just an interview, right? Shout out to Rebecca Bear. If you guys aren't subscribed to her channel, you should absolutely subscribe. She does a great job speaking to women in terms of preparing women for marriage and what that looks like. And so I think when she was there, there was a natural synergy me and her had, and then yeah, it was good. And Allie, to Allie's point, like she was extremely cool, extremely humble, really welcoming, like just willing to hear us out, and also not like the quintessential OnlyFans model or what you would think OnlyFans model is, right? So I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. And yeah, I think if I can be in a position to have those conversations, I think they're valuable conversations to have and to navigate in a way where I could soberly talk about my faith. So generally speaking, I thought it was great. I thought it was positive. I didn't have a ton of, I didn't really have any negative feedback. And so, yeah, so if you guys got questions, drop them in the chat. The host seemed interested in hearing the gospel. I hope you get a chance to explain the gospel. Yeah, I got him Case for Christ. And so I got him a Case for Christ, the book. And so I've been, I've known Adam for over a year now. He's been on my channel. I've been on his channel. We've had some really cool conversations, and I'm sure we'll have more conversations. And so, yeah, I'm excited if we're going to make this thing happen with Rollo. That'll be fun. There's a lot of guys from the manosphere, man, that are just so interesting, and apparently they've acknowledged that I'm somehow in the manosphere, which is like whatever. Sure, I'll be in that Christian manosphere circle if you want me to. Question: a few years ago, I ended a courtship with a man who told me that he was addicted to porn and he was still struggling with it. I wasn't judging him, but I didn't want to stay being with him, I guess. Abba and preach response, that'd be dope. Manosphere is men's improvement, just the short end of it. There's Manosphere, there's Red Pill. That's I didn't, I don't know. I didn't really know that was something I was a part of. I had more critique of it. And so you broke up with him because he was addicted to porn. This is a tough one. I've been in his shoes. It sucks. It's hard. And I can't prescribe what is the solution here, right? Because there's a difference between like basking in sin and waging war on sin while being addicted. And sometimes it's hard to tell if a man is unrepentant about porn, about whatever, right? Cheating on his taxes, I don't care. Yes, I would say get away. I would say get away fast. However, I think if someone is wrestling, waging war, doing their part to get treatment, to get help, I don't know. I don't know what the proper. I think that's one of those, like, you got to follow your conscience and also not enable that. So I don't know. This is interesting. What do you guys think, chat? If a dude is you know what? And I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna flip this a little bit. Because I want to hear from you guys about this. I'm gonna flip this a little bit. If a dude is addicted to porn, what do you guys think? Is that grounds for a girl breaking up with him? 2, this is my deeper question. How do you have to, as a man, if again, I don't think you should be out here just like flippantly dating unless you're in a season of life where you can move towards marriage. Right? So what I specifically mean by that is like becoming financially independent, developing hard skills that can increase your value in the marketplace. All of those different things. If you're not working on improving your life situation and have the time to look at porn, my question would be like, how? How do you have that much time on your hands, right? So I would bet that the porn is just a symptom of a macro breakdown of this dude's life. Like when I was addicted to porn, there was other issues that enabled me to be there's a lot of other issues. There were health issues, there was sleeping issues, there's all kinds of other issues. So that would be my other issue, is I think the porn can often just be a symptom of something else that isn't being dealt with, like a lack of responsibility, slothfulness, laziness, so on and so forth. So I don't know if that's a fair answer, but that's kind of where my brain goes as I'm thinking in hindsight. However, I wish I would have got treatment earlier, Anyway, let me look at some of these other questions. Sitting down with a good buddy who's a non-believer soon to discuss some of his recent poor decisions, drugs, heavy alcohol, cheating on his wife. Ruslan, how would you go about this? Oh, man. I don't know, dude. There's so many things about your buddy I don't know about. I think I would just start by listening and asking questions. Listen, ask. I think there's a lot of value in just listening, asking questions, and trying to guide the conversation. So that way, by the time you speak, there's enough trust and enough safety that they feel heard, that then you can tell them the hard truth. And I think this is just a good guide rail for conflict resolution. If there's conflict, if there's tension with someone, I think it's always wise to let that person speak, let that person flesh out what they're going through. And then once there's trust, once they feel heard, even if it's about you, then you turn around and you give them the hard truth. So that's just like a really 30,000 feet in the sky idea is listen, ask questions, and then go for the hard truth. And you know, some people are stuck and they're addicted because they don't have access, they don't have resources, they don't know the pathways. Other people have made up their mind that this is who they want to be. And it's hard to distinguish the difference. I don't know how to get treatment versus I know how to get treatment and I'm refusing. Okay, the latter is substantially scarier. So you also got to figure that out, right? Like because if I don't know how to get treatment, okay, this is how you get treatment. I got this lined up for you. This person could help. Boom. And then they throw a bunch of excuses at you. Well, then how serious are you about getting better? Right? How serious are you about getting clean? How serious are you about breaking some of those habits? That's why we put together the Master My Habits course. I told you guys, mastermyhabits.com. It's in the description of this video. Course I put together with my Christian therapist. It's a pathway to send you down the direction of getting out of some of those sinful addictions and building new healthy habits that I put together with my Christian therapist. We literally put that together for free. Well, it cost me his time, but we literally put that together for you guys. You know what I mean? And so you know, maybe that's another pathway. And by the way, we have men in prisons going through that curriculum. That's incredible. Somebody reached out to me that they do chaplain work, and then we've been able to put some dudes beyond you know, that are locked up through those types of through our actual curriculum on mastermyhabits.com. So I would also check, you know, have him check that out. If he has no access, no resource, that's a great start, you know. And so yeah, there's that. Zach said, how do you think that applies for people that dated young and married young like you and me? So I had all kinds of issues, and I'm, you know, I got married young and I had issues, and God was good. I wish that somebody was more forthright with me about getting my life in order before I got married. You know, there was not that. I feel like you had that, Zach. I feel like your life was, you were, for your age, you were fairly responsible. You were on your own. You know, you were earning money. You had hard skills. So I think you did a better job than I did, you know, but that's probably because you also had people around you who, you know, who can, guide you in some of those ways. So, you know, with porn, I think it needs treatment. Like, I think you need to deal with it. I think people need to work through it, you know. I have a skill in manual labor and cabinet installation, which makes me financially well and will always have work. Problem is I hate and I'm always tired. That's a great question. So Ethan, first of all, dope that you have a skill. Second of all, I'll say, can you skill stack that with something that maybe is less damaging on your body, transitioning off? Can you start your own cabinet installation business on the side? That's how I'll be thinking about it, right? So it's like a lot of times we do things because we have to fill a void. You have to put food on the table. But I call that working to eat. There's nothing wrong with working to eat. You gotta work to eat. But it's simultaneously, you need to be over here and you need to be sowing to reap. So you work to eat because you got to put food on the table, right? So that's your cabinet installation. But then over here, you need to be doing something, sowing to reap, the next season, the next thing. And oftentimes you take your skills that you learned from working to eat and you transition them into sowing to reap. Both of these are biblical concepts, right? The New Testament says if a man not work, he ought not eat. If we're talking about sowing and reaping, Paul makes it clear, like what a man sows, he will reap, right? And he's talking about sin, but the concept of sowing and reaping is all throughout the Old and New Testament, and it's usually for the next season. It's for the next season. You plant a garden for the next season. You plant fruit, vegetables for the next season. And so that's what I would be looking at. Can you start doing some stuff for the next season? Hopefully that's helpful for you. Ethan, let me know if you want me to go deeper on that. What's something that's inspired you recently, and in what way did it inspire you? Like, what area of life? What is something you're excited working towards? You know what inspires me is talking to people and learning from people that are not Christians to give me a better framework and apologetic on how to communicate with them. So I'll give you a couple examples. I went on Gerard's podcast right before the Valuetainment thing, which was, by the way, way more brutal, way more explicit. And Gerard used to be on Valuetainment. And so like listening, hearing their questions, engaging in the conversation was educational and inspired me. I'll tell you another thing that inspired me. You guys might think this is crazy. Ruslan, you're crazy for watching this. I watched the documentary Look at Me, XXXTentacion. And that inspired me, but not in a way of like it inspired me to make music. It inspired me in a way of understanding understanding and asking questions. And this is like, I don't know if Apologia Center's here, or if my man John Clash is here. I put this on Twitter, but it inspired me. And like, man, there's a lot of kids out here that are hurting, and the need to acknowledge that these kids are hurting. And how XXXTentacion connected with a lot of kids that are hurting. And then two, it made me ask the question, and this might be a crazy question, does mental illness, because this dude was hearing voices, so he probably had, bipolar. I think he got diagnosed with bipolar. It sounds like he had schizophrenia. Does mental illness, does trauma, getting beat by your dad, seeing your mom get beat and then trying to defend her as a kid, do those things impact the age of accountability, as we would say? Right, the age of accountability, because the drugs, the LSD, he had some crazy trips. The age of accountability is historically like, children aren't accountable before a holy God. At least that's in one tradition. Some people would kind of look at it different, but the age of accountability is like at a certain point you start understanding right from wrong, and you start understanding God's law and how you fall short, right? And so again, I'm externally processing this. I'm not here as having a prescription. I really want to lean into brothers that are more theologically sound and folks I look up to, like my man Artur, who's from the Apologia Center, is here. Do those things, is it possible that those things can play into the age of accountability? And so someone like XXX, who's schizophrenic, bipolar, clearly done some crazy acid trips, is an abuser, abused, but then became an abuser himself, and then goes and starts this career, gets caught up in the clout, plays this role of the supervillain, which our society is rewarding. Lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, pride of life. Right? Lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, pride of life. You play into those senses. It's easier to sell something. It's easier to move a product. All of those different things. I just wonder, like, man, where does the grace and the mercy of God play into that? Clearly, he wasn't walking with Jesus. It seems like he kind of started turning things around and started getting help and treatment. Towards the end, there was a therapist that was around him. Like, how does that work? Like, how does that work? And then inspiring in the sense, JP, to be a more present father, because of how much you could totally see this kid was damaged because his father, first of all, abused him. Second of all, went to jail at 10. Those are really, really hard conversations that I don't know if we have enough. And then for his life to be ripped short so violently, at the age of 20. That's an interesting question, because what about kids younger who get caught up in a gang lifestyle? Yeah, totally. I know I went like super deep, gang lifestyle. Yeah, you see a lot of these things, like Trap Lore Ross does like these documentaries about like these different gangs and pockets, and these kids out here 13, 12 years old that are shooters, and like and then they get killed. Like what is that? Like, what is that? Like, how does that work? So anyway, it's inspiring in a different way. It's inspiring in a different way. It's inspiring in the way that I want to, one, be as present as possible and loving as possible, while at the same time being firm and being a father to my 7-year-old boy. And we're already talking about the conversations about, hey, puberty is going to start. Your body's going to change. We're having these conversations now. And so having those types of conversations, two, the more like theological conundrums, right? Because on the surface, like, I was watching that whole thing. Funny backstory about XXXTentacion. Forgive me if you guys don't care about this topic, but backstory about this dude is like, he came to San Diego and got into a beef with a rapper named Rob Stone, and put Rob Stone's baby mom's home address on Instagram. So when he got to doing his show in San Diego, Rob Stone, or guys that were affiliated with Rob Stone, allegedly, pulled up to the venue, and this dude got knocked out. Like, it was bad. It was all over. And I remember going back and forth with Rob Stone about it, because I saw not this super villain person. I saw, it was the first time I saw him in context. and how tiny he was. Like the kid was 5'2". He was a small guy. And to see him brutally like knocked out in the middle of a set, I was like, man, like this is kind of whack. And then, then I found out that like he put his mom's stuff on there. And anyway, and so like a couple months after that, he kind of turned a corner and seems to have gotten better and started making better decisions and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm asking questions. I don't have answers to these things, but how does that play out to the concept of how does that play out with regards to the concept of the age of accountability? The age of accountability. Because I don't think that someone in that situation, this is my opinion, I think God can save anybody and redeem anybody. But I don't think anyone is even in the position to fully comprehend and grasp the gospel at a certain age and with a certain state of mind, right? If we were to just compare it to someone that's in a vegetative state, if we were to compare it to someone who is developmentally disabled, right? And I'm not saying that bipolar is the equivalent of, or untreated bipolar or untreated schizophrenia is the equivalent of being developmentally disabled. But there's definitely different challenges that folks are facing who are coming with a way different burden than someone that is in their proper state of mind. So anyway, those are the type of questions that like it inspired me to have, Arthur said, child soldiers are also a good area of thinking on the subject. Yeah, I mean, that's super heavy. You got kids doing some totally egregious things. It's a dark world out there, man. It's a dark world, Ethan said the whole Bible is about choice. Choose today whom you will serve. If someone can't have a choice, then God wants them into hell. Yeah, I generally would agree with that. I'm curious, like, where does that lack of choice apply to someone who is not developmentally disabled, but clearly not all there in the head? You know what I mean? Is that helpful? Yeah. All right. JP said XXX would have been a great hardcore vocalist. 1 minute featuring Kanye and Star in the Sky are great songs, and he does the harsh vocals on them. First time I heard them, my jaw dropped. Yeah. I mean, kid's extremely talented. Anyway. Sergio asked, as a Christian, how should you address and clear the air if your wife came to you wanting to do an OnlyFans account? I don't think there's anything to address and clear the air about it. I think you just say no. That's it. Just say no. We're not doing that. And you can maybe try to figure out why. But I think that even that question has to be like, no, And the interesting thing about Allie was that she said had she brought it to her husband and he said no, she wouldn't have done it. It was her husband that brought it to her, which is, yeah. So anyway, jump into some questions. How did you know God designed you for the purpose that you're fulfilling to this day, and loved you? Answered every way question, by the way. Central message about the gospel. Thank you, Devontae, or Devonta. Is it Devonta or Devontae? I think purpose is one of those interesting things. I think purpose can be seasonal. I think vocation doesn't always equal purpose. I think the macro purpose of all of us is to know God, to make him known, and to live his ways in and out of season, regardless on what we're doing. And so a couple years ago, I was doing music. Now I'm doing YouTube. I don't think my purpose changed. I think I've just had opportunities to connect my giftings, if you will, or my skill set with the opportunities presented in the marketplace. And so, because sometimes we can get really into like purpose and calling and all these different things. And listen, the truth is that a lot of what we consider talent, a lot of what we consider purpose they're just seasonal things. Like let's just say you're a mother, let's just say you're a young wife and you're in your mid-20s. Your purpose for that season may feel like, man, I'm a school teacher. This is amazing. It's so great. Okay, great. But when you're 35, your purpose is going to be probably raising your kids. Does your purpose change? I don't think so. I think you just are doing something different in that season. You see what I'm saying? And I think we're all much more like that than we would like to acknowledge. I think we're all much more like that than we would like to acknowledge, that it's not, a purpose is not a static thing. My purpose is YouTube. I think my purpose is to communicate the gospel by whatever means. And I'm leveraging YouTube. I'm leveraging these different platforms to the best of my ability. But it's not, I don't know if this is making sense. Like, purpose is not a static thing. So we can romanticize that. Oh man, I think my purpose is to be on YouTube. It may not be on YouTube. It may be on TikTok. It might be on something else, right? Because then when you romanticize it, you start setting arbitrary goals of what is and isn't success without actually defining success on what do you actually want from this endeavor. If you're doing YouTube, what are you hoping to get from this endeavor, right? If you're starting a business, if you're getting a new job, if you're dating someone, like what? And if we're not clear on those things, then the superficial things around these things start to dominate. I'll give you an example. There was a Christian influencer. I'm not going to say his name, but at one point he wanted to have 1 million followers on TikTok, 1 million followers on Instagram, and 1 million subscribers. And as of late, he said he's deleting his Instagram and his TikTok, not disabling it, not letting somebody else run it, completely deleting it. And what he basically went on to confess was that he was so enamored with the clout and the status that started being his metric for success, and it ate him up to the point where he can't be on those platforms anymore. And my logic would just be, how about you just have somebody else post it for you, right? Like I could really I almost cussed. I really don't care how many followers I have on Instagram or on TikTok, right? Would it be nice to have 1 million subscribers? Sure, but that's not even the metric I'm using on what is and isn't success. My metric is different. You see what I'm saying? So that's my concern with like questions like this about purpose. It's not about an external social validation. If I have 1 million followers on Instagram, 1 million followers on TikTok, and 1 million subscribers on YouTube, like you could have all that and still be broke. Is that a win? I don't think so. I'm just being frank, right? Like you could have all that and be homeless. Is that a win? No, you just got a lot of attention and you're famous and broke. 2 worst things you could be, right? And so when we start thinking of things like purpose, then we can get caught up in the I don't say worldly definitions, but like the clout-driven definitions of what is purpose and success and metric and all these different things. So I think you got to define like what are you ultimately trying. I have very specific goals that I would like to accomplish, and I could do that with 250,000 subscribers and 100,000 Instagram followers, or it might take a couple of minutes. I don't really care. Like I really don't care, because my measurement of success isn't about the external validation that the world or other Christians or myself tells me I'm successful and this is my purpose, right? Hopefully that's helpful. I know that went a little deep. Shout out to Just Josh for the super chat. My brother, you keeping the lights on. Me and Zach were just talking about starting a podcast, needing more space, and it's folks like you that drop a super chat that help us make that kind of stuff happen. Because believe it or not, all this stuff is expensive, and the response to the Valuetainment thing was like, yo, we really got to get this podcast off the ground. Anyway, Josh, thank you. Family, I replayed my pastor's sermon, and I couldn't help but feel like he was getting at me by some of his remarks. Am I wrong for missing church? Listen, I don't know what the sermon is. I don't know why you would feel that way. I have no, you're giving me very little to work with, if I'm honest with you. What if he was talking about you? Was it a necessary rebuke? What if it did overflow from a conversation you guys had? Was he right? Right? We can get so defensive and so guarded with our pride, and you know, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying if something you guys talked about overflowed into a conversation and his rebuke is accurate, well then, brother. Now, would I have preferred him to come to you and have that? Yes, totally. And is this a pattern, or is this a snapshot, right? I always think of this Paul Washer example when he talks about like, man, if you follow me around with a photo camera, it's not gonna be long until you catch me sinning and doing something I shouldn't be doing, right? But if you follow me around with a video camera, overall, you're going to see me growing in holiness and becoming better than who I was a month ago by the grace of God and the working of the Holy Spirit. And so my question would be, is this a bad snapshot potentially a bad snapshot of your pastor? Or is this indicative of a pattern of abusive behavior? I don't know. I don't have no context. I can't give you those types of prescriptions. You know what I mean? So like, I think we have to just, we have to tread lightly with these sorts of things, because, if I look at any of my mentor relationships or anything, I can get super offended and take stuff personally that isn't meant to be taken personally and all kinds of stuff. However, the vast majority of the people that God has put in my life, the pastors, the elders, the mentors, the vast majority of them are not abusive. The vast majority of them are not mean. The vast majority of them are not embezzling money and whatever. The vast majority of them are making progress and are getting substantially better as leaders, as husbands, as fathers, as pastors, so on and so forth. And so I look at that, I'm using the video camera illustration. They're becoming more sanctified over time, even though there might be a snapshot of, that came out wrong. That wasn't right, right? So I think a lot of times, man, as someone who has a lot of pastor friends, I think we often just need to extend pastors and elders more grace. And I'm not, again, I don't know, because I don't know if this is indicative of a pattern, or this is a one-time event, or this has nothing to do with you. Because that's another thing. Sometimes you just need to go ask, hey man, I feel like you were talking about me, right? Because think about it. If he did that, it's a very passive-aggressive thing to do. I don't think the mature, godly response is to assume the worst and then be equally passive-aggressive. I mean, I don't know. That's just my opinion, right? You see what I'm saying? So, like, sometimes we can be passive-aggressive when we think, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy. So hopefully that's, Josh, I'm sorry, I can't give a whole lot of, like, prescriptive advice because I don't know, but hopefully that, just macro ideas of conflict are helpful to you, my brother. Here's a good metric. Does my wife love and respect me? And my children love and obey me? Am I a self-sacrificial father? Come on, Apologia Center. This is what I'm talking about, man. Let's go. That's it right there. That's the metric for success. Come on. All right. Guys, you got any other questions? I got to get out of here. Shout out to our Patreon community. We're working on this podcast very soon. You can tell I'm very excited about it. I think we figured out the angles. We're gonna be working on that pretty soon, and it's because of all you. It's because you guys partner with us and support us on Patreon, all that kind of stuff. I'm in Southern California, okay? It's one of the most expensive places to live. I know. Ruslan, you should move to Texas. You should move to Florida. Listen, it's not that simple, okay? I just took my son to Florida. He wasn't feeling it, okay? and a lot of other places are expensive. And so we're trying to make it work here. We don't want to move. We don't want to leave. We feel like God's called us here. I've been at the same church for 20 years. I don't feel like we're going to lose. So, or lose or whatever. So in that, your guys' support is appreciated. I have had people in my church ask me if I was talking about them, and I was not. So there was some conviction going on. Yeah, man. And by the way, that may just be a good pastor. Like, I know we throw this word around a lot, like prophetic, right? But I think prophetic is like when you're at a church service and it feels like the pastor is speaking directly to you and reading your laundry and knowing, like, that could be the Holy Spirit, fam. Like, that could be the pastor just preaching what he preached on and you receiving it, and the Holy Spirit just doing something on your heart. And he could be not even thinking about you. You know what I mean? Super chat. Ethan 2 here, hopping off the last question. What do you look for in a church? Church I was saved in, led by a woman pastor. Stopped going and praying. God plants me in the church of his choosing. Okay, so Ethan, there's a couple things. Okay, for starters, I think there's no perfect church. There's no perfect pastor. So we have to just put that out there. Okay. 2, you have to know the difference between the essentials and the non-essentials of the faith. The essentials of the faith. What are the historical things that Christians have agreed on for 2,000 years? We put those in a close-handed category. What are secondary issues, open-handed issues, conviction issues? Okay, I'm weary of when we take open-handed things, we put them in the close-handed things. When we take convictions and we put them in the close-handed things. When we take nationalism and patriotism and put it in a close-handed thing. I'm weary of stuff like that. I'm weary of people that are in doctrinal error, right? Like you're just flat out in error on certain things. I hold the complementarian position that a woman can do everything in the context of ministry with the caveat of I don't believe a woman could be a head pastor, church planter, elder of a church. That's where I draw the line. I personally don't have a problem with the woman leading worship, children's ministry, even teaching. Okay, but holding the position of elder, pastor, I say no. That's a strong cutoff for me. So I couldn't attend a church with a woman head pastor. So I'm with you there. Okay. How do you find a good church? You got to know what the essentials are. You got to find a church that you're willing to align on the essentials. What is salvation, right? Here's a good example. That doesn't seem like an essential, but it is. Salvation, saved by grace through faith. Okay. 2 works, Ephesians 2, right? Some people will add, and the sign is speaking in tongues. Speaking in tongues is a sign of salvation. Whoa, no, can't rock with it, okay? Salvation, saved by grace through faith, and anyone can have the gift of tongues, and if you don't get the gift of tongues, you're a JV Christian. No, not doing it. Salvation, saved by grace through faith. And some people may get the gift of tongues. Some people may not get the gift of tongues. Some people may not believe tongues are for today. Okay, there I can rock with that, right? So that's a spectrum. That's a spectrum there, right? 1 is a hard no. 2 is you're in error. 1 is like you got salvation twisted. Like you're just wrong on salvation. If you think you got to speak in tongues to prove you're saved, you're just wrong. The second, the more moderate position is you think it's available to everybody. I would say you're in error. The third is you can't have the gift of tongues. You cannot have the gift of tongues. Who knows, right? And that category is like, okay, that's a good cat. So I think we have to factor in what is essential and non-essential doctrine, and I think you choose a church accordingly. Okay, you choose a church accordingly. And so, yeah, man, that's kind of where I'm at. Shout out to Apologia Center. And where are you at, Ethan? Apologia Center is in Glendale. My buddy Trey Van Camp is in I think the Gilbert area. My buddy Kurt Kennedy is in DC. My man KJ Scriven is in South Hill, right outside of Charlotte. I got my buddy Shobaraka is a pastor at a church in Atlanta, Blueprint Church. There's a ton of churches here where I'm at, Oceanside. I can name you 3 churches here. My church, the Movement Church, Mariners Church in Vista, Oceanside. My buddy Jeff Moore's church. I'm actually getting with Jeff Moore's in Oceanside. So there's quite a few great churches, and I'm sure you can find a church. I'm across the country, my man. Shout out from So you're in Kentucky. Okay, I don't know anyone in Kentucky. Forgive me. Thoughts on so yeah. Let me see, and this is where Ethan, we're working on starting a series of highlighting pastors that are doing it right and showing different stories. The issue is honestly just figuring out a way to get y'all to click into it. The number one metric YouTube looks at is the click-through rate. So like I thought was a heat video. Matter of fact, you guys should all go watch this video. This stream is gonna get redirected to to my new channel right after. But let me show you guys this video I just did that I think is just a complete banger of a video. And by the way, make sure you're subscribed. We're almost at 200K. Okay, so let me show you guys this video. Okay, so here's my channel. So I just did this video with the ex-NFL football player. When everything falls apart, ex-NFL player opens up. This is this right here, right? And it's a video of me, Jeremy Davis, ex-NFL football player, his transition, his testimony, the whole like banger of a video. There's a vlog component to it, which we usually don't do. There's an interview to it. Really good video. I'm going to make more videos like this. The trouble is getting people to click into these things, right? Because there's less conflict and tension in the videos than most of the stuff that we click into. And so I'm trying to figure out how to package these videos well. And so we're going to do more stuff highlighting pastors with the hope that, man, maybe by the grace of God, we reach a pastor in your area, build a relationship, and highlight them, and you could even discover different ministries through what we're doing here. Like that would be like a massive win for me, is getting people plugged into new churches and communities. Again, there's no such thing as a perfect community. So Rachel says she's in southeastern Kentucky. Okay, way cool. See, now we're doing some connection. And speaking of which, guys, I just launched a second channel. It's right here. It's called Master YouTube Live. And I'm doing a stream right after this. The dangerous tip from Gary V, exposed by Pilate. Okay, now what you expect. This video, see, I could do these videos with regards to like, yo, I got a second channel helping people grow their YouTube, and I could title these videos in a way that I think they're heat, and I think you guys will be interested in them. It's hard for me to like, my friend Arthur, who's crushing it at a church in Glendale, shepherding, 50 people and loving them and praying for them. But like, I'm having trouble as a YouTuber packaging that. And I'm actually praying for wisdom and vision on that from God to give us direction on how to package those types of videos, because I think it's so important to do a net positive. And I honestly just got like a lot of pastors, and the vast majority, 95 to 98% of pastors I know, and I know a lot of pastors, hundreds of pastors, are amazing people. Amazing people. I don't agree with every single thing theologically or whatever, but they're great people. And so anyway, that's the heart. That's the goal. So guys, if you want to come hang out with me, this is going to redirect to this stream. Okay. It would be amazing if you met me over here, especially if you're slightly interested in YouTube in the least. I'm going to push this here, stream redirecting here. Join me. Okay. JD said, so God can't use women preachers. That's actually not what I said. You missed what I said. Since we're here, let me recommunicate what I said. Let me go here. Let me recommunicate what I said. I'll say it clear. I believe God created man and woman equal with distinct roles. It's called complementarianism. I believe women can do, and this, some people will get me dismissed as too liberal for saying this. I believe women can do anything in ministry, okay? Leading worship, announcements, children's ministry, including teaching, okay? With the caveat that I don't believe a woman can hold the title of elder, pastor, church planter, however you want to use those phrases, the head pastor of an organization. Okay, so I believe women can be on staff at a church. I believe women can communicate. I believe women can write books. I believe women can do, other stuff, all kinds of cool stuff. I don't believe that they can hold the title of elder pastor in the same way I don't believe a woman could be the head of a marriage, right? I think the man is the head of the marriage the way Christ is the head of the church. So that is what some would call soft complementarianism. I just think it's biblical. If we're going to look at the scriptures, right? If we're going to look at Ephesians chapter 5, God, man is to love his wife the way Christ loved the church. They're to respect each other, and the wife is supposed to submit to the man. And I think that's a beautiful picture. And submission is not a bad thing, even though it has a bad connotation. And so, so I actually never said this, ever. So God can't use women to preach. When did I say this? I didn't say this. I never said women can't preach. I said I don't think a woman could be an elder, overseer, pastor of a church. And scripturally, you could even argue that a woman could be a deacon potentially. There's arguments for that. Aquila and Priscilla, I think in Acts, so there's debate there. So I recommend you check out Mike Winger's video on this, because he just did a long multi-part series on egalitarian versus complementarianism. It's lofty. It's good, and it's good. Yeah. Ephesians 5:20-21 does talk about mutual submission, mutual respect. However, it specifically says the man is to love the wife the way Christ loved the church, and the woman is to submit to Christ the way the church submits. The woman is to submit to her husband the way the church submits to Christ. So it's an and both. Yes, mutual submission, but ultimately man is the head, the woman is the neck. You can't really do a whole lot with the head without the woman as the neck. If you've never seen this healthily played out, because we could talk about it, but if you've never experienced it, if you've never seen a marriage like it, right? It's hard, because some of this you need to see it demonstrated, right? Some of this is more caught than taught, right? So scripturally, I think the standard is the standard, right? We recently added a woman as an elder at my church. She and her husband led Chi Alpha Christian Fellowship at Tulane. She's an incredible human being. I'm sure she is. I would just say that's not the That's not the as the scriptures as I see them. And I think from everything Mike Winger's doing, which again, incredible, long form, beautiful series he's doing, I would encourage you to dive in. And by the way, that JP, that doesn't mean that I think you're a JV Christian because we disagree on this, right? That's not what I'm saying either. I think this is a area we can disagree on and still be brothers in the faith. Because that's another thing. Like, we gotta get better at just disagreeing. Fam, we just disagree on this. That doesn't make me a misogynistic prick, and that doesn't make you an egalitarian soy boy, right? Like, that's not what that means. We're looking at the same things, and maybe we're looking at it through different lenses. I think I'm taking I'm closer to scripture. I have that bias, but we have to know how to just say, okay, cool, yeah, we're gonna disagree on that. I wouldn't be a member at a church like that. But I am a member at a church where we do have women preach occasionally. And, Ruslan, you're a liberal. Like, okay. Right? And again, all the women that I know in this role have amazing husbands, and they are submitted to them, Do you think you will ever see this in a different light? I don't think so, because this is one of those, like, this is like I wouldn't say it's like creation or eschatology. I would just say this is one of those things that, like, I just don't spend a ton of time thinking about, but probably not, if I'm honest with you, because I've done the deep dive studies, and I think I hold a relatively moderate position. I hold a position that most people would get me dismissed and heresy hunted and say that I'm a liberal for, Would you ever speak and minister in a church with a woman leader? It would be on a case-by-case basis. I don't know. Probably. I wouldn't have a problem. I have quite a few times, now that I think about it, yeah. Because there's a lot of churches where they do the woman is the co-pastor, right? Instead of first lady, she's the co-pastor. And I've actually have. So I probably wouldn't be opposed to doing it again, right? Again, and some people would dismiss me as a liberal for that and say I'm a bad person. Apologies said, I used to be an egalitarian, went to Bible college that was planted by a woman, came out, studied the subject more, and changed my mind on it. Yeah. Yeah, and I've went back and forth too. I haven't spent a ton of time going too deep on it. Dustin, thank you for asking. Dustin asked when we're going on tour. Check this out. We're at 197,000 subscribers. Make sure you subscribe. We're about to crack 198,000. 200,000 subscribers. We're doing something that I'm hoping, by the grace of God, if you're anywhere near Southern California, you pull up. This is what we're doing. We're doing a meetup in Los Angeles, and we're doing a meetup in San Diego, probably San Marcos Oceanside area. Meetup, mini conference, and I have, there's only 214 of you guys in here, so I have John McCrae from What Do You Mean confirmed for that, and I got a venue in downtown LA confirmed for that. Tomorrow I'm meeting about my buddy Jeff Morris to see if I can confirm Rhythm Church in Oceanside. So we're gonna reach out. I would love to have my brother Apologia Center there. We're gonna reach out to Mike Winger, he's in the LA area, and we're gonna Dr. Sean McDowell, and we're gonna try to get some folks there and make it super special for you guys. We'll see if we can pull it off, and so if these two smash, then we will do a series of them. This is gonna be around August, so you should be back from Armenia, Arthur. We're gonna do a series of them, and we're gonna go to Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, New York, and probably South Florida. So that's what we're working on, okay? So if you're in Southern California, this is the best thing you could do. Make sure you've signed up for one of our free courses, mastermydevo.com, how to study the Bible, free course, okay? We also have a Master My Habits course, mastermyhabits.com, free course. You can sign up for that, and you'll stay up to date with what we're doing. Ruslan interviewed an egalitarian, by the way. She was soft egalitarian, the way I'm soft complementarian. That's our women's pastor, Julie Schecker, by the way, who's amazing, and I know her husband. I've known her for years. She's like a second mom to me. And so, yeah, New Orleans love, JP, man. The tough part about YouTube is, like, the numbers, we have to go off of the numbers. You know what I'm saying? And Gary V. I got to hit Gary V, man. I'm slacking. I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm slacking. I haven't hit Gary V. Are you familiar with Nathan from Theos? Yes. Okay, I am. I met someone at Sean Cannell's conference who works with him. And I think Nathan's very hit or miss. Sometimes he's spot on. Other times it's like, he gets culture war brain sometimes. And so, yes, I think he's solid in some regards. I think the Sean King thing, doing the Maverick City, or seemingly, allegedly, Sean King doing the Maverick City devotional is, that's tough, man. You're popping an ATL. Come on, man. You know I'm coming to ATL. But we got to make sure we crush Southern California first. That's the goal. We got to crush Southern California first. If we crush Southern California, then we're going to Atlanta and Texas. In Texas, Alan is in Dallas. So we're trying to get Alan Parr to pull up to Dallas. And so it's going to be dope. So we're looking at August. No, I know Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama are probably hit or miss. Yeah, that's the thing. And we're not even trying to do like crazy numbers. Like we just want to get 100 people at the jams. You know, if we get 100 people at the jams, like that's going to be crazy. Watched your old school should Christians use marijuana vid and I couldn't focus. What was that hairstyle? Hey, listen, we all go through experimental phases, okay? Atlanta is like a top 3 city, man. Atlanta's like a top 3 city, JP. CP. I'm getting JP and CP confused. All right, I got to go for it because I got to do one more stream on the other channel. Guys, please meet me over here at this other channel. I think you guys will enjoy the video there. I'm already late. It's I'll show you guys the thumbnail real quick. YouTube tip kills people, ? This is going to be great. You guys are going to love this video. Okay, so pull up over here and this is going to be straight for YouTubers, creators, tactical stuff. I can talk about this stuff till I'm blue in the face. And I'm dropping the link in here again. Okay, meet me here. Nathan, now you're here and we're about to do another live. And this should redirect to that stream as well. All right, so we're trying to grow the second channel and really just give you guys all the game. This is going to be a multi-part series tonight. And I'll meet you guys over there, all right? All right. Peace.